This episode of the Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by our proud sponsors, Thrive Fantasy, Built Bar, and ExpressVPN. Now, using promo code DTSN, our listeners can get $20 bonus cash on a deposit of at least $20 on Thrive Fantasy, 10% off their Built Bar protein bar order, and 35% off their ExpressVPN annual subscription. Once again, all you have to do is use the promo code DTSN and tell them the Downtown Rams podcast sent you. Now enjoy the show.
Aaron Donald creates the fumble. Goff goes crashing into the end zone.
It is intercepted by Jalen Ramsey.
Robert Woods, touchdown. Picked off by John Johnson. Touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air.
Henderson with a good run and a first down. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Van Jefferson. Everett in stride. Wow!
Play for the Lombardi!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. It is episode 324. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Unfortunately, unable to join me again is Alexis Kraft. And any guests for the Dolphins preview. Just kind of a weird week. A lot going on with DTR. I'll start by saying, if you guys don't already know, Jason Tyra, who is a great writer for us, he is actually going to be undergoing open heart surgery, which is incredible. It's just an incredibly scary, overwhelming, and difficult time for him and his family. He's as strong as can be. I mean, the guy is going to absolutely do his best to fight through this, and he goes out under the knife on Tuesday. So if you haven't already, and the Rams already reached out, by the way, just shout out to them, Johnny Hecker, Micah Kaiser, Daryl Henderson, and of course Cooper Kupp, and just the whole Rams community who reached out to Jason and wished him well. We appreciate it. Jason appreciates it. I'm sure his family appreciates it. He's a great guy. He's been putting out some great content for us. We're just really happy to call him part of our team and part of our DTR family. So if you haven't already, be sure to, leave a comment or reach out to him. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. It's just been overwhelming, the support that, he's received. And, we couldn't be happier. And, obviously we're hoping he pulls through, but, he's a fighter. He's strong. He's tough as nails. So, we think he's going to, but, as always, though, you definitely want to send your prayers and positive vibes his way, because he's going to need it. So I didn't really want to start the podcast off on a kind of a bummer note, but it means a lot to us, the support you guys have thrown his way, and the support you guys will throw his way, and especially the Rams, coming into that. And again, just it's a tribute to Jason. I'm sure we'll have him on the show, after he is recovered. He's still writing articles for us, right up until that date. He just really enjoys it. So, really hopeful for him, and we'll be praying for him. But as far as Alexis, she has a family matter. She's okay. I know some of you reached out to me, asked me what was going on there. She's still part of the show. She just has some family stuff going on, which, I totally understand. And, I won't pressure her to come back at any certain time. She'll come back when she's ready. She's trying to come back as soon as possible. Could be, the next episode, but, don't want to put too much pressure on her. So we start off the podcast on kind of a somber note, but it was more informational, if anything. Again, we're wishing, Jason well. And of course, Alexis will join us on the show when she is, she's ready. It's a important reminder that, family is literally everything in your life. Family and your, close friends that you can call family. And, you just kind of have to sometimes put things on hold, family over everything, FOE, as the Morris twins from my Kansas Jayhawks, say, team foe. So family over everything, totally understand everything that's going on. Appreciate you guys supporting us. So we'll get to it. The Rams are taking on the Miami Dolphins. The last time this happened was, of course, Jared Goff's debut in LA. kind of a crazy day. It was raining like crazy, and the Rams were unable to get it done. Jared Goff lost in his first game, and so what better way to celebrate a debut than the Miami Dolphins starting their rookie quarterback against the Rams at their home. Tua Tagovailoa, if you don't know, he's coming off a knee injury, a severe knee injury in college. He hasn't really played since. I mean, he's been in a couple games. He's played at the end of them, but he hasn't started. And he was a dynamic player at Alabama. Granted, he had a lot of weapons there. They're a very talented program, but he arguably is the best quarterback in Alabama's history. What he was able to do, and you have to obviously give credit to Jalen Hurts. I thought he was pretty good as well. But Tua came in, and I'm sure you probably know the story. Basically Jalen Hurts goes down with an injury. Tua comes in, and then Tua leads them to a national championship, and Jalen Hurts is kind of out the door, and was kind of forced to transfer in that regard, and he goes to Oklahoma, and obviously he has a happy ending coming his way as a second-round pick for the Eagles. But Tua Tagovailoa, this is his week. He's going up against a really tough defense, but the Rams are going up against a pretty tough defense in itself. So we're gonna, I'm excited to break that down for you guys. But I did want to highlight, of course, the obvious. Tua Tagovailoa is making his debut, and he is a left-handed quarterback. I'm sure everyone knows that, but for those that don't, he's a left-handed quarterback. I don't remember the last time I saw a left-handed quarterback start in an NFL game. I'd probably have to say Michael Vick when he's had to start for the Steelers. That's the last time I can recall. And be sure to get at me if I'm wrong on that. But he's left-handed, which means pretty much the right tackle on the Miami Dolphins is the left tackle in a sense. You're trying to protect the quarterback's blind side, so that would be up to Robert Hunt, who is a draft pick from Louisiana Lafayette. So we'll get into it, but before we do, injury report, because there's some stuff going on here. Not a ton to report, but enough to report it. The Rams have activated A'Shawn Robinson from the non-football injury list and have activated linebacker Derek Moncrief from the practice squad for this game. I'll start with A'Shawn Robinson. A'Shawn Robinson, we all know, I kind of hyped him up a little bit for you guys, and I know everyone was ready to watch him play. And unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition, but very talented player, multi-purpose player on the defensive line that can really play in all packages. So, as soon as he's comfortable, I'd imagine he's going to be on the field the majority of the game. But he's coming off a non-football injury list, and he will play this week. Most likely. I mean, unless they pull, another one of those last second. Well, we're not going to do it, but he's coming off the non-football injury list, and they also activated Derek Moncrief. For those of you who didn't watch Hard Knocks or haven't been following, Derek Moncrief is a former strong safety at Oklahoma State, went to the CFL, and now he's going for having a career in the NFL. So he's a former safety converted linebacker. My guess as to why they activated him is because when you look at the safeties, and obviously our friend Terrell Burgess went down and he's out for the year. I spoke with him. He's in good spirits. Can't wait to get him back on the show. But, in the back end of the secondary, the depth is getting there. It's starting to get a little thin, especially with Jordan Fuller out, at least in this game, because I think Fuller will be back after the bye. So when you look at that, you take Derek Moncrief, for instance, and, Derek Moncrief is somebody that has experience playing in the back end of his secondary. So I'd imagine they really liked his coverage skills as a linebacker, and he's kind of an emergency guy. Will likely see the field on special teams, but keep an eye out for him. Could get involved in this game, and the Rams linebackers haven't played all that great, so who knows, maybe even get some shots at linebacker in this one. But those are the reports there. Tyler Higbee, he is questionable, and the Dolphins have Adam Shaheen, who's been playing really well, tight end, who is behind Mike Gesicki on that depth chart. he's really stood up the last few weeks, and he is questionable as well. So we have 2 tight ends that are questionable, and cornerback Jamal Perry, a little bit further down the depth chart, he is out for this one. So, this is probably the best, I would probably say this is the best injury report thus far for the Rams. It seems like every Rams game, there's, on the other side, it's kind of ridiculous how many guys are out. But, this time, I think, these teams are fairly healthy, with the exception of a season-ending injury to Terrell Burgess, season-ending injury to Austin Jackson, who was supposed to be one of their starters on the offensive line. But aside from that, relatively healthy. But, kind of going into this, my thoughts on both of these teams heading into Week 8 and beyond. I was a little surprised that the Dolphins decided to go with Tua Tagovailoa. The way Ryan Fitzpatrick has ultimately played over the last few weeks, this is a 3-3 Dolphins team, and they're going with the rookie. Whereas the Rams in their season, it was pretty much already lost when Jared Goff came in. And, for the most part, I mean, I believe they were 3-7. Or something along those lines. I saw the last game Case Keenum started, so I was pretty ready for the Rams to go to actually they were 4-7, I think. I was pretty ready for the Rams to go to Jared Goff for sure after pretty much a punt fest in that one. But in this one, Tua is going to make his start. Ryan Fitzpatrick, as you guys probably know, was drafted by the Rams out of Harvard. And he's had, success so far this year, a lot of success. He's really rallied this team. So, I'm sure he was obviously a little shocked as well. But I'm sure he understood at the end of the day. And I'm sure he probably doesn't want to be traded. He knows this is his role. He is a journeyman quarterback that, wants to be there, start until somebody like Tua is ready. Now, here's the thing with Tua Tagovailoa. He has the ability, he's got some great accuracy, he throws with some great velocity, but he has the mobility as a running quarterback, so we'll have a chance to see that. Now keep this in mind, the Rams, they're going up against a left-hand quarterback, it's a little different, the ball's a little different coming out of its hand. I'm sure the same thing, adjustments are going to have to be made for receivers on the Dolphins. But a little thing to point out is the Rams held Dak Prescott under wraps for the most part in a 2017 affair earlier in the year. So the running quarterbacks per se, especially Josh Allen, I don't think Josh Allen absolutely tore up the Rams throughout the whole game. The Rams shut him down in the second half. You can really look at that and think, the Rams did a nice job against Carson Wentz. They did a nice job against Dak Prescott. This defense is ready. I mean, can Tua really, catch him by surprise? Well, I think he can. I don't think this is a rookie that's just kind of like, people are happy for him because he's a good story. I mean, people forget. I mean, this guy, for a lot of people, was number 1 on their board. Before the injury, Tua Tagovailoa was penciled in as the number 1 overall pick in this past draft. And then Burrow emerged. So while, Tua Tagovailoa went down with the injury, Joe Burrow absolutely emerged in the college football season. Obviously, we know what happened. LSU won the national title. And Tua kind of got forgotten a little bit. He still went the first round, still went relatively high. But he got forgotten a little bit as somebody that belongs up at the top. And, I had him, I believe, quarterback 4. I was higher on Burrow. I was higher on Jacob Eason out of Washington. I was higher on Justin Herbert. But aside from that, I mean, I still think he's a very talented franchise potential quarterback. So we'll see. We'll have an opportunity to see him. I thought it was a little weird switching from Fitzpatrick, but if this transition works, I mean, this could shoot them to the playoffs. They could really rally behind this rookie. So kind of heading into Week 8, you have a 3-3 team going up against a 5-2 team. The Rams are really trying to win this 6th game before the bye. It's going to get a lot harder for them on the schedule. They still have 2 more games against the Seattle Seahawks. They have 2 games against the Arizona Cardinals. Those teams are a 6 and 11-3 on the year. So, it's not exactly the easiest look. Those teams combined are having great years, the Cardinals and the Seahawks. The 49ers are a team that just beat the Rams, and they just clobbered the Patriots. So they still have the 49ers. They have 2 more games against the Seahawks and Cardinals. They have a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road, the Patriots. So, yes, they still have, a few really tough games, or, at least they look really tough on paper. So this is going to be the tougher, back end of the schedule, and we'll see, what the Rams can do. So they really want to win this 6th game heading into the bye. Going 6-2 would be huge. The Dolphins, on the other hand, really want to win this game going 4-3. They're trying to catch up to the Bills. The Bills are 5-2 right now, so they are trying to catch up to the Buffalo Bills. And the Dolphins are coming off a bye, so they're going to be either refreshed and ready to go, or they could come out flat. We've seen both out of the Rams in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised either way. But it is in Miami, and that is definitely good news for the Dolphins. Moving forward, how do I see these teams? I think the Rams I see as a potential Super Bowl team. I think the Dolphins could sneak into the playoffs, but it really all depends on how well they play the Rams this week, and how well Tua Tagovailoa plays for this team moving forward. So getting into it, the offensive lineup projected. You have Tua at quarterback. I don't know if I've said him enough in this one, probably. Then you have Myles Gaskin, who's surprisingly logged 261 snaps this year. He's become a fantasy gem for fantasy football players, but he's also been kind of a gem for the Miami Dolphins. He's a guy that kind of got forgotten about, out of Washington. Just it seemed like he was in college for like 8 years. So the Dolphins grab him. Even after, they go out and they get, Jordan Howard. They had Matt Breida, who they traded for, but they're rolling with their 7th round pick in 2019. And, he's been a help in both the passing game and the running game. Matt Breida is the backup. Lynn Bowden, Jr., the 3rd round pick from the Las Vegas Raiders, who was surprisingly traded to the Dolphins. He's in that room as well as Patrick Laird. So, we'll likely see a lot of Myles Gaskin and a little bit of Matt Breida, who has given the Rams issues on the 49ers before. So he's been annoying for Rams fans. Moving on though, you have Devontae Parker, who, was in that same draft as Todd Gurley. He's had a good year. Preston Williams has had a good year. And then you have Isaiah Ford in the slot, who is somebody that, I think a lot of people also just, don't really give enough credit for. He's a lot better than what his stats show, from 2017. They've really been waiting to see something out of him from 2017, the 7th rounder. I really like his ability, more of a big slot guy. Plus they have Jakeem Grant, who's very fast, and he's going to be used in this one, you'd have to imagine. And then, Mac Hollins to kind of, round out that wide receiver room. And then tight end, we don't know if Adam Shaheen's going to play, but it's Mike Gesicki, Adam Shaheen, and Durham Smythe, all of which are over 100 snaps on the year, so they do use their tight ends. The offensive line's a little different because the injuries, of course, to Austin Jackson. You have Jesse Davis, you have Eric Flowers, Ted Karras, Solomon Kindley, and Robert Hunt. So they're starting, 2 rookies there in Kindley and Robert Hunt. Kindley, a 4th round pick, and Hunt is relatively new into this lineup. And Hunt is somebody from Louisiana Lafayette. He was a 2nd round pick, 39th overall for the Dolphins. So they have really high hopes for those guys. And that rounds out the offensive line projected lineup. And then moving on to the defense, we have Christian Wilkins, the defensive end, former 1st round pick out of Clemson, Raekwon Davis out of Alabama, Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, Jerome Baker, Landon Roberts, Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. And then really interesting here, what the Dolphins have done. they've taken Bobby McCain and Eric Rowe and have turned them from cornerbacks to safeties. Bobby McCain's having a good year as well as Eric Rowe. Very interesting, and we'll likely see this year's first round, 30th overall selection out of Auburn, Noah Igbenogany. I can't even believe I pronounced that correctly, but Noah Igbenogany, he is likely going to play in this one. Here's the thing. Rams fans should definitely know a few of those names, but one name should really stand out to you is 100% Kyle Van Noy. We know what he did in the Super Bowl to Jared Goff. He has reunited with his original defensive coordinator with the Patriots. He followed him over to the Miami Dolphins, and that it has really been a nice tandem there. So, I think, it's all said and done. This is a defense that can really punch you in the mouth. This is a defense that can give you problems, and especially on the road, flying that far across the country yet again, you can't sleep on this defense. Right off the cuff, I see a team that has a serious liability in the linebacker room, and that is Landon Roberts. He has been very bad. Aside from that, though, everything seems to be really bottled up. I mean, Zach Seiler is another guy that'll get in on, that rotation. Kamu Grigor-Hill is another guy. You'll probably see some Brandon Jones and some Andrew Van Ginkel. They've, kind of rotated them in and out, as well as Nick Needham, who was really good last year for the Dolphins. So, I think those are some guys to, keep in mind. Jamal Perry's out, but he's somebody that offered some help in the run defense department. And of course, Xavier Howard's one of the best cornerbacks in the league, as well as Byron Jones. So it's going to be not exactly easy to throw on this team, looking forward. But very interesting here, though. Very interesting matchup. This is huge for the Rams. The Rams are coming off a huge win against the Bears at home, in which they just basically shut down the Bears offense, and the Rams offense kind of just, put it on cruise control a little bit. Not quite took off, but, did enough to win the football game at 24-10. In this one, though, I think the Rams are going to have to be more of an aggressive team on offense. I don't think they can continuously do what they're doing right now. I don't think they can fall flat. This is a team with Tua Tagovailoa. You don't know what you're getting. He could come out and easily throw on you and, run on you, and all of a sudden you have your back against the wall on the road. I don't necessarily see that. I think if you're looking at Tua in this one and you're looking to see what he'll do, I think he's going to have a very easy game plan for himself. I think they're going to have him dump off passes to Matt Breida, Myles Gaskin, get him, the handle of things. I think it's going to be a very, leash type of game, a very short leash. They're not going to allow him to take a deep shot, whenever he wants, which makes sense. So I think, obviously you have to look at Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, and Adam Shaheen, and then Matt Breida and Myles Gaskin. I think they'll be huge in this one, very reliable for Tua, assuming, Adam Shaheen plays. I don't really like this offensive line. As somebody that's watched their film, I like Robert Hunt. I like his overall potential, and I think he's played pretty solid, as well as Solomon Kindley. Ted Karras is very good, or at least good. Jesse Davis, to me, is kind of all right, left tackle. I don't think he's that, he's just kind of average. And Eric Flowers, to me, is below average. So, I think the Rams have an opportunity here to kind of, wreak some havoc and get into Tagovailoa's grill and pressure him and force him to make bad decisions. And I think, they can do that. And plus, Devontae Parker is a very talented receiver, but he is not Allen Robinson in this one. So I don't think the Rams necessarily have to throw Jalen Ramsey on Allen Robinson. I don't think the Rams have to, or on Devontae Parker. I don't think the Rams have to go all out in shutting down Parker. I trust these cornerbacks at the end of the day. I trust Jalen Ramsey. I trust Darius Williams. And I trust Troy Hill. I think they all have played pretty well. David Long has gotten in there and played a little bit. I like this secondary. The only one I'm a little iffy about, as always, is Taylor Rapp, because I just think he's so inconsistent in coverage, but he did have a nice interception last week, in which one that went right into his hands. But again, awareness, field awareness, he was there to make the play, all of that. So, I mean, this game could definitely go either way. I know some people are labeling this as a trap game. I think this is a good defensive line. It could be hard to run on Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, Emmanuel Ogbah, and Shaq Lawson. And then the linebackers in Van Noy and Jerome Baker. I'm not high into Landon Roberts at all, so if you get to the second level and you go right up to a Landon Roberts, I don't think he's going to tackle you. But the secondary is tough, and this is, again, this defense has played very well. So we will see, because just the way things look is, honestly, this team is kind of similar to the Bears team. Very good defense. But one thing this team, is more than with the Bears, because the Bears had a better record. But the reason I think this team is tougher is because when you look at, you look at the offense, Tua Tagovailoa is a wild card. You don't know how to defend him yet. You don't know what he's capable of. And with Nick Foles, it's kind of like, I'm not saying you knew what Nick Foles was all about, but what I am saying is that, you kind of have seen Nick Foles, and you've seen the Bears offense, and the Bears offense, with somebody like, say, David Montgomery, David Montgomery wasn't moving the football at all this year. The Bears consistently couldn't run the football. The Bears consistently couldn't get going until the fourth quarter. So, I kind of look at that, and, I think I just kind of see this Miami Dolphins team as, a team that you can't just, sleep on their offense. I mean, I know they don't have a true superstar, but Tua could be that superstar, and the Rams could definitely learn that the hard way in this one. With Jared Goff and the Rams, I do think Goff needs to play a lot better than he did in the Chicago Bears game. I've seen some that kind of think that, Jared Goff was playing really well. I didn't really see that, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I see a quarterback that is having a good year, but could be having a way better season, and isn't quite having the season that he should be having. I'm going to make it that clear. Again, I know there's some people that don't agree with me, and that's totally fine. I know some Rams fans that, are really high on him this year. Again, that's totally fine. But, I think he's left a lot on the field. I think he's missed a lot of throws. He's had really good protection. I'm not worried, but I'm a little concerned because, there are some games that you can't do that if you're going up against Seattle Seahawks, and, if your defense is unable to stop Russell Wilson, you're going to, all of a sudden that's a shootout game, and, you're going to need Jared Goff to throw the football. And in this one, if Tua Tagovailoa comes out and all of a sudden he's a superstar, they're going to need Jared Goff and this offense to move. And that's not an excuse. Like, I'm not giving Sean McVay a pass either. I think Sean McVay has struggled as a play caller. Has been, I won't say struggled, but has been very inconsistent. In this one, I just am really hoping to see some consistency built from the offense. I think this defense is going to do a nice job. I think they're going to pressure Tua. I know everybody is really just ready for the Rams to just trounce this Dolphins team. I don't think people are taking the Dolphins seriously enough. They've been in just about every game. They're a weird team, but they're a team that I don't really want to play. And, I just think when you're looking at that, when you're looking at a team like that, any sort of those missed field goals or 3 and outs or even when you get into you move the ball and you get to the 50 and you just shut down, those types of teams you can't play like that against. Now, the good news is Sam Sloman is out the door. So, now you have Cobra Kai, as people are calling him on Twitter, Kai Forbath. And Kai Forbath, to me, is he's not a sexy kicker. He's not somebody that's going to kick 56-yarders consistently. He's not somebody that's going to kick it 65-yarder to win the game. If he does that, I'm going to laugh so hard now. But he is somebody that is very, very accurate. And Sean McVay called him automatic during the week in practice. So again, it's just practice, but it's always good to hear that. And I think this Rams team that struggles in the red zone, they'll be happy to have him because, you need that. Moving on, though, kind of just breaking this down. Jared Goff or Tua Tagovailoa, who's going to have a better game? I'm going to go with Goff in this one, but I don't think it's going to be much better than Tagovailoa. I think Tagovailoa is going to be careful with the football, and I think he's going to have a solid, debut. Not going to be blowing the doors off, but he'll have a solid debut to keep the Dolphins somewhat in this game. Whereas I think Jared Goff will have a little bit of a better game, take more risks, and I think he's going to get the wide receivers going in this one because, the Dolphins have done a really nice job of holding down the tight ends this year. And I don't know necessarily if this is a game where the Rams can, get the tight ends going since this Dolphins team has really put a premium on shutting down tight ends. So I could see, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp going over 100 yards. If they get Van Jefferson involved, cool. At this point, I'm not really counting on Van Jefferson. It's not anything he's not doing. It's the fact I don't think the Rams use him correctly. They've been holding him back for sure. But this running game, I do think we'll be able to get going because I think they are one of the best running games in football. I do think Darrell Henderson can run on any defense. I think just his ability as a creator, a guy that can, he gets great pad level, but he has such great balance that he can stand up and, he gets hit, he bounces off a guy. Plus you have that athleticism to make a man miss. I mean, he's somebody I definitely want to see involved more in the passing game, but just in general, I want to see at least 20 touches a week for this guy because Darrell Henderson is one of the best backs in the league this year. Pro Football Focus rates him the best back in the league this year. So, I think that is definitely something to keep in mind. Getting Darrell Henderson the ball more, I think is definitely important. Of course, having somebody like Malcolm Brown and Cam Akers is also going to help out. I know the Rams demoted Xavier Jones last week, and they promoted Raymond Calais. I'd like to see Calais get more involved in the return game, but not too involved because I don't want to see the Dolphins scoring that many points in this one. But kind of looking at the wide receivers, I think you're going to look in the wide receivers on the Rams side I think are going to have a better game than the Dolphins for sure. I think Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp could both go over 100 yards. And I think the Dolphins receivers, and this seems like a Preston Williams type of game where he could have a good game and the Rams kind of shut down Parker, Ford, and Grant. Although Grant is somebody kind of plays in the same mold as, like a Darnell Mooney who gave the Rams a little bit of an issue. Not a huge issue, but enough to get out there and, make some plays. A Deebo Samuel type, a Brandon Ayuk type. So, I'll definitely keep Jakeem Grant in mind moving forward. And then I think the tight ends, the Rams gave up a 40-plus yard catch to Cole Kmet. They shut down Jimmy Graham for the most part, but I do think that at times they can let tight ends find that soft zone. And I think Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, and Adam Shaheen could all pick that apart if, put in that position. Plus, I just think in general, rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks battling injury, quarterbacks that are not extremely, confident, they tend to lean on their security blanket tight end. So I think you could see the tight ends very involved in this one. As far as a breakout offensive player this week on each team, I'm going to say Preston Williams for the Dolphins. I think the Rams have done a nice job shutting down the run against everyone. But I think Preston Williams is somebody, he can get going. He's got, very strong hands. He's been used a lot in the red zone. He's a very streaky player, and he's definitely someone that the Rams are going to have to pay attention to. I don't think it's a huge breakout for him. I go probably 4 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown for Preston Williams. On the Rams side of things, I honestly think this is going to be a Darrell Henderson breakout game. I know I've been saying that. I know he's probably already broken out, But I mean, I think he's going to have a chance to really break out in this one. The thing to keep in mind, Miami gives up 72% of the time in the red zone, they give up a touchdown. The Rams defense, 57% of the time. I mean, the Miami's red zone defense is nothing like Chicago's. So that's a little different. It changes the dynamic of things moving forward. It's definitely something to keep in mind because that kind of, made you wonder, the Rams can be able to score against, the Bears, and they were, but they still got shut down in the red zone. That's definitely something, that happened, and Miami struggles with that. So, and they do give up a decent amount of points. But, I just think, like, for me, I'm looking at, in this one, to see how much the Rams can get going, on offense. Because they have just not been the best offensive team. They have not been what they can be. And that is something that I do worry about. And Miami, they give up 124 yards per game on the ground. They're around the middle of the league. The Rams are in the top 10 in rushing defense. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. As far as, looking at, in the passing department, passing defense, the Rams are 5th. Miami, their defense has played well, but they're in the middle of the pack. So Miami's defense is going to be interesting in this one. How well will they play? Is this an opportunity for the Rams to break out? It could be. I don't really love their run defense. If Darrell Henderson gets going up the middle, and then they use him out of the passing game, and they kind of soften up the defense a little bit, I could see him doing that. I'm gonna say Darrell Henderson does hit 21 touches in this one, and I'm gonna say he goes for over 150 total yards. I'm not going to say he has a touchdown because the Rams have kind of just thrown touchdowns to everyone. So I'm not going to say he gets a touchdown. Could see that vultured if, depending on who you are. If you're a regular fan who doesn't care about fantasy, you could see it scored by Malcolm Brown. But if you're a fantasy football fan, it's going to get vultured by Malcolm Brown. Will they use Cam Akers at all? We'll see. But I do think that the breakout offensive players on each side, Preston Williams for the Dolphins and Darrell Henderson for the Rams. Offensive line, I think, plays better is going to be the Rams. I just don't love the Dolphins' offensive line. This could be a huge opportunity for somebody to break out on the other side of the line, the other side of the defensive line, that edge spot that you see, Samson Ebukam kind of rotating with, Hollins and Polite. I could see one of them breaking out because they're going up against Jesse Davis, who, in my opinion, is kind of an average, offensive lineman that, can be, pushed around. So, that's definitely something to keep in mind. But as far as the better game on the defensive side, I'm also going to go with the Rams here. I do think the Rams are a better defensive team. I think the Rams are a better team as a whole, but I think that they're a better defensive team. I think the Rams defense will log 2 interceptions off of Tua Tagovailoa and maybe a strip sack. And I don't think the 2 interceptions are necessarily going to be his fault either. I think you're looking at a touchdown and 2 interceptions at Tua. I think Tua will have somewhat of a good game, and at the end he throws an interception trying to make something happen and trying to drive down the field and get back in the game. So that's kind of how I see it. The key matchup I'm looking at is whoever's going to be covering Preston Williams. I think he's just a really talented receiver. He's a mismatch, has great hands, and I think he's going to be reliable for Tua. And I think Isaiah Ford in the slot could be somebody as well. But just really interested to see who covers Preston Williams. And then as far as the biggest defensive player, the biggest breakout defensive player on both sides. For the Dolphins, I'm going to say right now, I think Kyle Van Noy is going to be an issue. So I'll say Kyle Van Noy, breakout defensive player on the Dolphins. I think for the Rams, I'm going to go with A'Shawn Robinson. I think they're going to use him in this one. And just because I don't want to say Aaron Donald, I think that's an obvious one. I think they're going to use A'Shawn Robinson. I think he's just going to create absolute madness up front for the defensive line, and just by his traffic, bull in a China shop mentality. I think he's going to open up things for other guys, but I think he's going to be the reason. A'Shawn Robinson, as long as he plays, as long as Sean McVay doesn't throw anything out of left field, I think A'Shawn Robinson plays 25 plus snaps. He's a lot better than Sebastian Joseph Day. And I think that he should start, although I expect Joseph Day. Well, actually, I'm going to say I expect A'Shawn Robinson to start, and I expect him to play limited snaps, so probably around 25. And I think he's going to have a really good game back in the NFL, because it's been a while since he's played. So those are my breakout players on each side. Some stat predictions for you. I think Goff goes over 300 yards passing. I think he throws, we'll say, 2 touchdowns. No interceptions in this one. I think he cleans that up a little bit. I said Darrell Henderson going over 150 total yards of offense. No, didn't say a touchdown. Maybe he has one. I don't know. I think A'Shawn Robinson gets a sack, and I think he is just an absolute terror this weekend at stopping the run. And I'll say Tua Tagovailoa, one touchdown, 2 interceptions, 212 yards with, say, 40 on the ground. And I don't think they'll be able to get Myles Gaskin going, which will really push everything on Tua Tagovailoa's plate. And I think that's exactly how the Rams want to play. So as long as the Rams, pretty much their key to victory, if they can stop Myles Gaskin from moving that football, because he's had a good year this year, they can stop him from running the football and make it the Tua show. They might be able to, since it would be a one-dimensional offense, knowing they're not going to run the football. They can put a spy on Tua. I'd probably put Kenny Young as a spy on Tua Tagovailoa, and just kind of abuse him in the pocket. And I think you have him running around and making plays. I can live with that, but you want to keep him in the pocket for sure, and you want to make him pay. So, I think that's the key to victory. If you shut down Myles Gaskin, you put it all on Tua's shoulders. If he beats you, he beats you, but more than likely, he's not. I also think this defense is just playing lights out lately, so I'm not really worried about them. And I think on offense, I think the key is to, just run your style of offense. Stop trying to be cute. Stop trying to set up the run with the pass. I think if you just run it with Darrell Henderson, pretty much every team this year has showed you they can't stop the run until you stop it yourself. So, I think the key to victory on the offensive side of the ball, you get the run game going, and then you beat them over the top with Jared Goff play action. And then I think, you'd see a lot more success out of that team. We saw a lot of Josh Reynolds and Gerald Everett last week, and we've seen, a lot of them moving, over the last few weeks. I think this is more of Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in this one, and I think the Dolphins do a nice job of shutting down the tight ends. But we move to the final portion of this prediction, or of this podcast, and it's the prediction part. And I'm going to say this right now. The Rams are going to win this football game, and they're going to win by a score of 31-13. I think Tua gets a touchdown in this one. I think they kick 2 field goals, but I think this Rams defense is just playing at a whole other level than what we expected out of Brandon Staley through 8 weeks. But, I do expect them to hold the Dolphins under 20, and I expect them to stifle the run, force Tua to make, bad decisions. They'll probably start the game off. Tua will throw a touchdown. Things will look good for the Dolphins. I think that the defense will shut down moving forward. They're maybe the best, second half defense. They're definitely the best fourth quarter defense. So I think that you have that going for them. I think at this one, it'll just be an opportunity for Sean McVay to kind of, swipe clean that slate, wipe it clean, and just go back to just doing your thing. Just go back to playing Rams brand football on the offensive side of the ball. You're getting some great protection out of the offensive line. They're playing better than a lot of people expected. Not me. I definitely advocated for this offensive line to stay together and not go after Ezra Cleveland in the draft or anybody like that, but I digress. Anyway, this offensive line's playing very well. Goff's having a good year, although, like I said, he's missed some throws. He's left some throws on the field. But you have a really good running game. And this team, they have not been proven they can be stopped in the running game. And so, to me, I would just force Miami to prove themselves. Can they stop the running game? And if they can't, I just keep running it down their throat. The Rams could realistically run the whole game if they wanted to, because they have 3 backs that can. If you can't stop Darrell Henderson, and all of a sudden you stop Darrell Henderson because he needs a breather, you put in Malcolm Brown. If you can't stop Malcolm Brown, and all of a sudden you bring him out because he needs a breather, you put in Cam Akers. And it's just this never-ending cycle. I mean, if I had those running backs, like if I was the offense coordinator, and I knew that, or play caller or whatever, and I knew that this defense couldn't stop my running game, I'd just abuse them. Because what the running game does is it takes time off the clock, and you control the clock. The Rams, when they lose the game, they don't control the clock. So this is a very important game. I hate predicting a blowout against Miami. I do think Miami's legit, but I think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to have too much to do, and I don't think this Rams team is just your everyday 5-2 team. I think they're a lot better than the Bills. I think they're a lot better than most teams that are 5-2. I think this Rams team right now is the most complete team in the NFC. If you wanted my honest opinion right now, I don't care how biased it sounds, because I didn't pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl coming into the year. Right now, if you had to gun to my head, you forced me to pick 2 Super Bowl teams, I'd say Rams Steelers. I mean, right now, I'm not trying to get your hopes up for nothing, because I really don't think it's nothing. I think they are ahead of schedule, guys. If they can come out and establish their dominance on the road after another long trip, I mean, it's going to look really good going 6-2 into the bye. So I think they're ahead of schedule. Brandon Staley's defense shouldn't be this good already, and I think they can be a lot better. A'Shaun Robinson, I think, is going to inject another level into this defense. And then they get Jordan Fuller after the bye. And who knows what they do on Tuesday, because, we have a trade deadline coming up. The Rams could go out and get a pass rusher. They could go out and get some help in the back end of the secondary. I mean, I honestly like Nick Scott. I like the way he played. He came in and he looked really good, I thought, against the Bears. I'd roll with who they have. It's really unfortunate that Terrell Burgess got hurt, but in this one, I mean, I like Nick Scott. He's probably going to obviously fall down the depth chart once Fuller comes back, but I don't think it's a bad depth chart. I think if you want to go out and get a pass rusher or somebody that is just available that shouldn't be available, like, Quinnen Williams, if you feel like you can actually afford him, then you make that move. But I mean, maybe a linebacker, but I mean, if the Rams wanted a linebacker, they would have kept Corey Littleton. So, I mean, to me, I think this defense is just, it's pretty set. It's ready. It's going to be getting better with Jordan Fuller coming back, and it's really up to the offense. And that's the thing, is everyone saw against the Bears. That game could have been 40-something to 10. It wasn't close at any point. So, I think if the Rams can come out and they can just assert their dominance and shut down Miami, people will say, well, we saw this coming because Tua's a rookie, but, I mean, if they win 31-13 like I'm predicting, that's an impressive win on the road against a 3-3 team that has been in every game this year going into the bye. So, that's going to do it for us. That's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys remember to pray and send positive vibes to our buddy Jason. He's going to fight through this, and with the help of all of us. I hope you guys don't think that Alexis left the show. She'll be back. And I hope you guys enjoyed this show. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, go Rams.